Oh, and he's pathetically in love with her, and he kills anyone who lays a hand on her. Leigh Bardugo, love you, girl. Mwah. This cover has me gagged up and gooped down. Very, very, very 6 stars of this book. Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. What I am going to do is something that I saw a lot of booktubers doing. I didn't know that this was a thing, but apparently midway through the year, we do a mid-year freakout tag, and that looks really exciting for me. So I wrote down the questions, I have my answers, thought that I would give you guys some little stats and goals. First of all, I didn't set any goals except for a reading goal. So that's, now I know for next year that it would be cool if I set some other goals for myself, like, you know, read 5 nonfiction books or something like that. So yeah, so the only goal I have right now is like the Goodreads 2024 reading challenge. That goal is 85 books, and I have read 64 out of 85. So I am like 75% of the way through with my goal already, and we're halfway through the year. That's really great. Good for me. I picked 85 books because last year I did 80 books, and I think the year before that I did 75. So I think that's like my goal is just to go up in 5 every year. If I could reach 100 books this year, which I think would be really doable, that would be cool. But no pressure. I'm just gonna keep reading. I have so much fun reading, and I don't let goals like get in my way. I just read as I want to. This year has been like really successful because I've been reading for this channel, of course. So thank you. Okay, now let's talk about some stats. Thank you as always, Storygraph, for existing. Without you, I would be so overwhelmed trying to create these stats for myself. I'm a very analytical person. Storygraph is like, it's like the upgraded analytical version of Goodreads, right? Like, no shame to Goodreads. I love Goodreads, okay? It's been around as long as I've been on the internet, and for that I'm very thankful. But Storygraph is really cool. It just does all the data work for you. It's like having an assistant on your side. It's really nice. So when we look at stats, I read 64 books so far. That is 24,316 pages. I have read almost 25,000 pages this year. That is really cool. That's a cool thing to say. Like, it'd be cool if I could get up to 50,000 by the end of the year. Ooh, that'd be cool. Okay, I have a goal for myself, pretty much just to read like a big book every month, like 500 pages plus would be really cool. I don't like set myself to that, you know, I don't hold myself to that goal, but if it happens, it happens, and I always feel really fulfilled with myself once I do. So here's to more big books in the future. Okay, when we look at moods, I read 35 books labeled dark, I read 30 books labeled emotional, 29 labeled adventurous, 24 labeled mysterious, and 21 labeled as tense. When we look at pace, which is not something I usually talk about on my channel when I'm doing like a monthly wrap up, but I thought I would just mention pace here because it's part of the stats of the app. We have 45 books, or 71% I labeled as medium speed, like I got along it mediumly well, okay? And then I have 15 or 24% labeled as fast. I was able to blow through them. I sat down in one setting and read them. They were very quick, very easy to understand and get through. And then I have 3 or 5% labeled as slow, and I actually wrote those down. So I have The Age of Innocence, which is a classic that I read a couple months ago, and it's not that it was a slow, like it wasn't hard to understand for sure. It was just I was not sitting down to read it. Like if I sat down for like 2 hours, I could, you know, knock out a whole chunk of the book really easily. But if I was kind of just reading it willy-nilly, or like whenever I had a break from something and I'd pick it up for like 20 minutes, I would find myself like rereading things over and over. It was just like hard to sit down and concentrate on the book if I didn't like allot a whole couple hours to it, you know what I'm saying? So that was definitely a slow read for me. And then I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I love The Secret History, okay? I was definitely a big fan of it, and it was just like, it was a really big book for sure, but it just, I wanted to soak into it. Like I wanted to absorb everything about it, so I would sit down carefully absorbing the book, okay? Like I don't know how else to say that, but I was very cognizant of how I was taking in the information, and I wanted to make sure that I got it all because it's a hefty book. Like it's full, okay? And then the final slow book I read was Library of Shadows. Sorry girl. This book, it put me in a reading slump. It took me way too long to read it. It was not interesting. I forgot it as soon as I read it. I remember my initial thoughts being a little positive, but definitely as I was reading it, I was not having a fun time with it at all. I felt like it was one of those books I could literally only read like 20 pages at a time. It was taking way too long. The pace was excruciating for me. Okay, next we have page number. I had 17 books, or 27%, that were less than 300 pages. I had 36 books, or 56%, so over half of the books that I've read have been between 300 and 500 pages. And then I have 11 or 17% that are over 500 pages. I thought I'd add this one in too because I read a nonfiction book this year so far, fiction versus nonfiction. I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I really love this book. It was fun to read. Her voice is amazing. Like I loved reading her words. I would read anything else that she writes or directs or anything. So that's 63 books, or 98% were fiction, and then 1 book or 2% of what I read were nonfiction. And then when we look at genre, my most read genre, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for fantasy at 35 books. That makes me so happy. I'm glad that I can see that I am reading what I want to read, because fantasy is my favorite genre, and when I started this channel I started reading a lot of books for a lot of videos, a lot of different things. I'm trying to catch up on popular books as well. It makes me happy to see that I am sticking with my roots and reading my favorite genre. Next we have romance at 31 books, YA at 25 books, and then I have LGBTQIA+ with 12 books, which makes me happy. I definitely had a silent goal to read more LGBTQIA+ books, and I am obviously succeeding in that a little bit. And then I have literary, horror, and contemporary at 9 books, and then thrillers I've read 8. My most read authors, Leigh Bardugo, love you girl, with 6 books, and then I read the whole Twilight series. I'll post that video down below. So Stephanie Meyer, she is my second most read author with 4, and then I have Veronica Roth and Tara Maffey with 3 books. My average star rating, my average is 3.25 stars, which I think is great. For me, I'm very happy to see that, because I have 7 books that I labeled 1 star. I have 10 books I gave 2 stars. I have 20 books I gave 3 stars. 14 books I gave 4 stars. And then 13 books I gave 5 stars. That's pretty cool. I'm very glad to see that I gave more books 5 stars than 1 stars. That's an indication of a good year for me. Okay, now let's get into the mid-year freakout questions. Okay, I got these off of BookTube Wiki, so hate me if you want. I'm an amateur. It's my first year on here, okay? What is the best book you've read so far? Okay, terrible news. I read 7 5-star books in January alone, and I read 4 of those in a row. Okay, so that's over 50% of the 5-star books I've read this year were read 6 months ago in the first month of the year. I have been chasing that high since January, so a lot of my favorite books that I read this year came from 6 months ago. I would love to be surprised and get a new one soon, maybe this month, we'll see. I gotta shout out Juniper and Thorn. I gotta shout out Ava Reed. That's my girl. I love everything she's written. I will read everything she's written. Juniper and Thorn, it's like a gothic retelling of the juniper tree, like that fairy tale, which I need to read so badly. She does a really good job of revisiting fairy tales, of dealing with trauma. Her female characters are so good. Her male characters are just precious. Like I love the way she characterizes her people, and then also just her language. Like in Juniper and Thorn, it is like the grandest fairy tale you've ever read in your life is what it feels like. It's just, that book is grand. Like there's no other way to say it. The whole 6 of Crows series, okay, that duology, ooh, it really like did something for me, okay? It made me really happy to read. I was like, wow, books like this exist. Like I didn't just think that books like this existed. I wasn't just praying that books like this existed. There actually is an amazing 5-person POV assassin, great, well-written, long series that doesn't fly by, that is full of revenge, is full of like the most grotesque scenes. Like some of the nastiest shit you've ever read came from those books. I mean, and then not to mention just the characters. I love the characters in this book, and Leigh Bardugo, you're amazing. I also gotta shout out Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. That book had me by the throat, okay? The plot twists in that book made me go insane. I could not believe what I was reading when I was reading that book. I can't recommend this book enough. I would recommend it to anyone and for anyone. It is so good, so worth the read. I love very 6 stars of this book. What is a new release you haven't read yet but want to get to? Okay, so we have The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. This book just came out, like literally a couple days ago it came out, maybe a week ago it came out. It's like a Mulan retelling from what I understand. It's got dragons in it. It's like fantasy romance. It's adult. I feel like it's gonna be good. I feel like it's gonna hit really hard and I'm really excited to read it. The next one I have is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. A lot of like booktubers and book talkers have talked about this one. I think it's enemies to lovers, and it's basically like two witch families, like they've always been fighting, and they're both trying to, I think it's like crime, like they're also involved in like the crime world, so they're fighting in crime. I don't know what it is, but I think it's a really good enemies to lovers, and I've heard a lot of people rave about it, so I'm excited to see if I'm gonna like it. What is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? That's gonna be Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. This cover has been haunting me for a year, like ever since it dropped. This cover has me gagged up and gooped down. Okay, what can I say? It is gorgeous, and I'm just like I said, anything Ava Reid writes, it's gonna be 5 stars and automatically, basically. And I don't mean that in an ass kissy way. I just know her writing is gonna hit. Not to mention, Lady Macbeth is my favorite character in Shakespeare. Like, Macbeth is my favorite Shakespeare play. Lady Macbeth takes the cake every time for me, and I'm so excited to read this retelling of her story. Okay, it's gonna be great. I've also only heard amazing things about it. What is your biggest book disappointment? Sorry, Leah, love you, babe, but it's gonna have to be the Shadow and Bone series. I did a whole series on it, like I read it and I gave my real-time reaction, so if you want to see that, that'll also be down below. But this did not impress me much. Okay, what can I say? Our main guy is pathetic and he's lousy, and I don't like him and I don't respect him. And what happens to our main character at the end of the book? Nope, did not like that at all. I was like struggling to get through it a little bit, and I hated it because she threw so many really good love interests at us, and so you keep reading really interested and hoping that something else is going to happen out of these books, that's going to take like a total left turn, like it's going to really surprise you and be what you want, but it disappointed me. Most surprising book you've read so far this year, that would have to be The Savage and the Swan by Ella Fields. This book, it's like, it's a bunch of different retellings, okay? It's a very fairy tale based book. She is locked in a tower to spin gold, very Rumpelstiltskin. The man who killed her father is the only one who can help her. OD, enemies to lovers, thank you very much. Oh, and he's pathetically in love with her, and he kills anyone who lays a hand on her. So that, like, it's just instant, brutal kill. Okay, it hit so many boxes for me. I loved it. The only thing is that it has a mates component. I don't hate mates, but I definitely don't love it. I think it's a little pathetic. I think it's a little, I guess I would rather the guy to be sniveling after her because he wants to, not because he feels this like emotional pull to her, like, oh my gosh, like I have to be with her. I want it to be like in his head, like, oh my gosh, like I can't even think I have to be with her so badly. Maybe they're even trying to fight it a little bit. I don't know. That would have been cool. But the mates, it's just like instant. It's just like, oh yeah, that's my girl. Like, come on. Like, no one else. You're coming with me, girl. It's weird. I don't love it. I don't love mates. I don't know. I'm talking about this so long. Anyway, The Savage and the Swan definitely surprised me, and I would recommend it. If you're a romantic-y girly, I would recommend it. I think it's a standalone. I see it's called like Fated Fae #1, so maybe there's going to be like more stories in the series of like other people. So I think that their story is a standalone. I hope it is. Really good romantasy. And then also The Fingersmith. I wrote this one down too. Fingersmith by Sarah Waters surprised me. I already talked about it. Plot Twist City. Love that book. Favorite debut or new to you author? I did Mariana Enriquez she wrote Our Share of Night. Okay, I just recently read that. Ooh, that book is crazy. It's like a horror book set between like the 60s and the 90s in I think it's Argentina. You know what, let me look it up. Yes, Argentina. Okay, it's like a lot of like political intrigue as well. It has a lot to do with like the dictatorship that was happening in Argentina at the time as well, so that historical side of it was very interesting for me because I don't know anything about it. But the main story of it is this boy and his dad are like escaping. His mother has just died, the wife has just died, and they're like escaping her family because they are part of an occult, okay, and they're very scary. Like, it's very like brutal, the things that happen in this book. I loved it though. I ate it up. We go between many different timelines, between many different people in the story, and it flowed so well. Like, I was literally savoring to read this book at the end of my day. It was all I was looking forward to, and I immediately put all of her other books on my TBR because she has 2 other books that came out before this one that are infinitely more popular than this one. So I'm like, I need to see what this is about. I hope that they're all horror as well, although I feel like I would read anything written by her, but I hope that they are horror as well because girl, I was freaked out. I was a little scared throughout this book, and the imagery is so good. The kids in it are so good. Like, there's so much that happens that just, she surprised me. What can I say? She was a great new author to read. Newest favorite character? Ooh, that is gonna have to be my boy Kaz Brecker, okay, because I finally read 6 of Crows. He is the leader, okay? He is the leader to end all leaders. He is ruthless. He has some problems of his own, which are really kind of hot. He can't stand the feel of skin. Like, he can't touch other people. It's part of his trauma, okay? So he wears gloves everywhere. The way that Leigh Bardugo wrote him, I don't know what was going through her head. It should be studied what was going through her head. Kaz Brecker is just like, he's ruthless. He does not give a F about anything, okay? His only goal is his goal, and he will do anything to get there. He like climbs the ranks amongst the criminality of the place that they're in. It's just like, Kaz, I love you. I love you so much. He's my current book boyfriend. I really want to reread 6 of Crows, and one day I'm going to go to the bookstore and buy it so that I can have it, so I can like annotate it and like put notes in it and like put little hearts around his name, and I'm really excited to do that. What is the book that made you emo? The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Yeah, that, like I said, I recently reread that and I was just bawling my eyes out. It's not the only book that made me cry this year. Like, I'm a very emotional person. I cry at the drop of a hat. That Charlie's letters, that's my boy. He learns so much, and he's such an empathetic person, and it's just like, I think it's just honestly such an essential read for teenagers. If I had a teenager, I would make them read it. It would be a summer reading recommendation, or requirement is what I should say. What's a book that made you happy? Okay, I recently reread Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I read it when I was really young and I didn't really remember it, but this time around, it was so good. Like, just the life lessons that are within the book, the way that the family works together and like supports each other and like learns to support each other is so cool. The way that they learn to support each other really is so cool. I know I just said that twice, but I said it twice to like emphasize it more, okay? Because in the beginning of the book, you know, we have Jo, and Jo is so like not superficial. She's like, I don't know why you'd want to get married. I don't know why you care about worldly things. I don't know why you care about everyone else so much. Like, she learns how to love and appreciate her sisters for everything that they are, and that's really cool. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The other girls do the same. Like, I mean, think about Amy, you know, like everyone like kind of rags on her the whole book because she's the youngest. She's so like worried about what she looks like. She's so worried about how other people perceive her, and she learns, she grows up, and she just like, oh, like the empathy that she learns and the way that she learns how to, I think that's the reason why I love this book so much, is that everyone learns, and it is such a good composition of learning, like how it's okay to learn and how we should stay learning and how we should, it's fun to learn. Like, what can I say? I love learning, and I love books that make me learn as well, and I feel like Little Women really did that, and it made me happy. It was a very, very happy read. I mean, obviously Beth's death and the end of the book yeah, I was a bitch ballin', okay, what can I say? Yeah, it just made me happy. The characters made me really happy, and the lessons that they learned made me really happy. Most beautiful books you've bought or received this year? Okay, I just recently went to Barnes & Noble for the first time. Like, not the first time ever, okay, but like I went there with the intention to buy a book for myself for my collection, and I got a premium B&N membership. Okay, so I'm finally one of the book girlies, okay? Okay, let me show you. Okay, you already know, I could not buy Ava Reed, okay? First of all, they're just beautiful books on their own, okay? This one, The Wolf and the Woodsman, I read this last year, and it was the first one I ever read by her. I think it says a stunning debut. Okay, so it is her debut novel, and I was like, I know I'm gonna love Ava Reed. I've been seeing these covers everywhere, and people who I really like and respect their recommended these, and so let me start with this one. And I need to reread it because it's been a while and I don't remember it very well, but this is pretty. And then Juniper and Thorn, can we just take a second? Just take a second. Whoever her artist is deserves their ass ate. This one is so good. These are just beautiful books all on their own, but also the covers are gorgeous. Final question, what's a book that you're hoping to read by the end of the year? Okay, I have Down the Drain by Julia Fox. I love Julia Fox, okay? I respect Julia Fox to an up-10th degree. Is that a word? Up-10th? I don't know. I just really, really love Julia Fox. I love everything she stands for. I think that her values are really in line with mine personally. And I love how fearless she is. But the thing is that she has been this way since she was like 15 years old. She has been like everywhere. She has done everything. She grew up in New York City. She was a dominatrix when she was like 18 years old. Like, she just literally has lived a life, and I would love to read this book. I would love to read about her relationships with people, how she navigates life. I would love for it to teach me something. And I've heard that the audiobook is really good because she actually does the audio for it, so maybe I'll try to read that or like listen to that. But I think I'm gonna buy the book, honestly. Like, just support her and buy the book because I love her so much. She's totally someone I would buy a book from. And then I have been talking about this book literally in every monthly video, I feel like, but it's Educated by Tara Westover. This is a book about a girl who grew up very sheltered, and she was not able to go to school, and when she can finally go to school, she just realizes how important education is. That's all I know about it. I have not like read anybody's review or listened to anybody's review of it. That's just all I know about it. I know that she grew up LDS as well, which is very interesting to me, and I really, really want to read this book. I love learning. It's fun to learn. I think this book will really help me acknowledge that even more to myself. So I'm excited to read it. Okay, that is the end of this tag, the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm really glad that I filmed this because it made me really excited to go out and read some books. So that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna end this video, read some books, edit this, and upload it later. Pancake, you wanna say goodbye? She's turning around, she's going to sleep. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really, really love you, and I really appreciate your support so much. I hope you have a wonderful reading month and a wonderful rest of the year.